Fire Marshal's office wraps up its examination of the James Street Swing Bridge. Toronto police recover the Rob Ford crack video. And the Boston Red Sox celebrate a World Series victory. Good evening and happy Halloween to you all. There are still more questions than answers following Tuesday night's fire at the James Street Swing Bridge.
A fire marshal's investigator has been on scene since early this morning, but the examination continues. The bridge remains a crime scene, but whether the fire is suspicious in nature was also not answered today. Dennis Ward has the latest.
The Ontario Fire Marshal has been on the scene at the James Street Swing Bridge since 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. He's still trying to determine what the cause, origin, and circumstances leading up to the fire are, and he says there's no timeline for when those will be answered.
Well, we've collected some debris samples. We'll be sending those away to the Center of Forensic Sciences for examination. We've also collected some other components that are engineering will have to be examined forensically also.
The investigator says there is fire damage to the wooden decking on the top and to the support structure below. He says it will be CN Rail who determine if and when the bridge is usable and for what type of traffic. Montgomery says those questions are beyond his level of expertise, but feels it is safe to a certain degree.
It's not fit for vehicular traffic right now, nor is it fit for rail traffic either. So,
no concerns with people walking on it though right now?
At this point, no.
The rail company will not be commenting while the investigation is underway, but CN Police and a lot of employees and resources are on site, including equipment and materials. Dennis Ward, TBT News.
The swing bridge that connects two communities has ignited a different kind of discussion following Tuesday night's fire. A local blogger has written a lengthy piece about the reaction posted online during and after the fire. In his post, the author, Damien Lee, wrote as the bridge burned, social media lit up with, quote, white settler racism. And now those comments have drawn online criticism as well. Lee's lengthy post includes examples of tweets he and others have deemed as racist. Some of the Twitter accounts have since been deleted. Mayor Keith Hobbs, who has what he calls unsavory comments posted on his own Facebook page, says the posts he's seen are definitely racist. Hobbs calls them disappointing, especially given the work the city has been doing to be inclusive.
Comments made to me. I had one fellow say to me, if I would have known you were such an Indian lover, I would have never voted for you. So there's still a lot of issues in Thunder Bay that have to be addressed. I always say it's the minority that are like this. It's not a rampant thing in Thunder Bay, but it's something that you have to address. And unfortunately, the minority spoils it for the majority, because the majority of Thunder Bay are great residents.
Hobbs believes you can never put an end to comments like this, but feels they need to be attacked head on. Fort William First Nation Chief Georgianne Moroso posted a response on her own Twitter feed. She says witnessing such racism in a time of crisis is sad and disheartening, as it perpetuates hatred and ignorance towards First Nations people.
Thunder Bay Police are investigating an act of mischief that took place at Lakehead University. School officials alerted the police that a teepee located on university grounds had been severely damaged. It appears that a sharp object had been used to cut a number of vertical slits on the backside of the structure. School officials don't know when it happened. The area also includes a sacred fire and a sweat lodge that's used by the students and members of the community for spiritual ceremonies. Cynthia Wesley Esquimaux is a part of the Aboriginal Initiatives group at Lakehead University. She doesn't believe the vandalism was an act of racism.
You know, we know that the teepee is obviously very closely associated with the Native community. I mean, the teepee, the canoe, you know, there's certain iconic images in Canada's eyes that belong to the Native community. So, and they didn't touch anything else. You know, they did really ruin this teepee. I mean, it was quite deliberate. So, I would rather not dwell on that fact. I'd rather dwell on the fact that it was done. It's a terrible thing that it happened, but what can we do to make things better for the future?
The teepee has been taken down for the time being. Anyone with information is asked to contact Thunder Bay Police or Crime Stoppers.
The regional coroner has announced an inquest into the death of a construction worker at the Thunder Bay Country Club last year. 31-year-old Lee Antoniak died on April 9th of 2012. He was working for LTL Contracting when he was run over by a 30-ton dump truck, which was backing up at the time. Antoniak was rushed to hospital but succumbed to his injuries. The Ministry of Labor then issued a series of work orders against the companies on site, specifically regarding the operation of large trucks in reverse. The inquest has been scheduled to begin December 18th with Dr. David Legg presiding as the coroner. Proceedings are expected to take 3 days, with 15 witnesses taking the stand. The inquest will examine the circumstances surrounding the death and is aimed at producing recommendations to prevent similar incidents. The Thunder Bay Country Club and the private developers are building a new clubhouse and 109-unit condominium on that site. The project has faced numerous delays. It's currently at a standstill, though, after the contractor pulled crews off the job 3 weeks ago and closed the gates at the site.
A professional engineer and director of a Thunder Bay-based contracting firm has been found guilty of tax evasion. The Canada Revenue Agency says Carl Gustafson failed to report income totaling almost $460,000 for the years 2005 to 2009. As a result, Gustafson has been fined over $84,000. He's also been given a 9-month conditional sentence that includes 5 months of house arrest and 4 months of curfew. Gustafson has been given 2 years to pay the fine.
After an unsuccessful bid for the 2013 Under-18 Baseball World Cup, organizers are one step closer to bringing that event back to Thunder Bay in 2015. As we told you here on Tuesday on the News Hour, Baseball Canada has accepted the Thunder Bay International Baseball Association's bid to host the event. The association confirmed the news at a press conference earlier today. Matt Scooby has more on the possible return of the highly successful event to the Lakehead.
It has a slightly different name, but local organizers are confident the 18U Baseball World Cup can be just as successful a second time around in Thunder Bay.
We're trying to strike while the iron's hot. You know, we have a reputation now on the international level of doing a good job with international baseball hosting, and so we're trying to use that reputation as much as we can with events that we feel are well suited to our community. And obviously, with the success of 2010, we want to try to do it again.
President of the Thunder Bay International Baseball Association, Larry Hebert, believes there could be an increase in the economic benefits in 2015 if Thunder Bay was selected to host the event.
It was over $6 million worth of economic activity in the city last time, and we expect it'll be even more this time. So, you know, we're having to stay in hotels this time, and that'll put the cost up. So we built that into our budget, but it's very important. I think there was a real good buzz around the community, and we had over 50,000 fans at the stadium.
Thunder Bay was the only Canadian city to put forward a proposal to Baseball Canada. Hebert explains that the price to submit a bid to the International Baseball Federation jumped from about $5,000 to $120,000, and that might have intimidated other possible host cities.
We had the money, thankfully, from our successful tournament in 2010. So I think that scared a lot of cities away, though. It was $120,000, and that's a lot of money. And we were able to put that up. They have to put a bid bond up. You get it back if you don't get it. But that's, I think, scared a lot of cities and communities away.
Possible competition to host the event includes a few South American countries, as well as Japan or Taiwan. The tournament has been held in the Far East the past 2 times, mainly because of a big TV contract. It's the reason Thunder Bay lost out on hosting the event this past summer, and something they're trying to add to their proposal.
We're trying to reach out to networks in Canada right now to see if there would be interest in the 2015 event. Keep in mind that in 2015 the Pan Am Games are happening as well in Toronto with a baseball component in Ajax, Ontario.
While Baseball Canada wants organizers to submit their bid as soon as possible, Hebert says they're going to take their time. Bids must be submitted to the IBAF by December 31st, and they're expected to make their decision in early 2014. Matt Scooby, TBT News.
The chair of the district's Social Services Board is responding to a proposal by 6 member municipalities to pull out of the DSAP and supply their own social services. Yesterday on the News Hour, Economy Mayor Kevin Holland said the 6 rural municipalities don't feel they're getting the best bang for their buck. Holland is the sole representative on the DSAP for Shunya, Oliver Papoonge, Conmee, Gillies, Neebing, and O'Connor. He says they contribute $2.3 million to the board, but their residents receive only $500,000 worth in social services. They've commissioned a study on providing those services on their own. DSAB Chair Bob Kajamaki says he'd like to see the results of that study before commenting. He thinks it may show the changes are required, but he's concerned about possibly losing 6 municipalities.
I guess it would be. I guess what the ultimate thing is that we have to look at the people we serve. And if they're going to be served better by that, then maybe that's the thing we should do. I don't know. I can't, like I said, I really don't know what it is, but I think the ultimate is the customers that we have and the people we serve, and as long as we do the best job, then we should do it the best way we can.
Kajimaki points out that the DSABs are created and regulated by the province, and therefore it would be up to the province to approve the changes proposed by the 6 municipalities.
Motorists and pedestrians will be able to access Golf Links Road between Central Avenue and Oliver Road in the very near future. City project engineer Rick Harm says there is about 3 weeks left of construction on the new 4-lane section of the road. It's taken the entire construction season to get this far, and Harm says that's due to all the utility and underground work required. Some paving is expected to start next week, and crews are targeting November 18th to have the road reopened.
Well, at this point, the majority of the concrete work is done. The gabion walls on the golf course side is finished. They're working on some ditching, and we do expect some base level paving to start later this week. The current plan is the road would open with base paving as of November 18th, and the majority of the final paving would be next spring.
Harms adds that they've been waiting for additional signs to open the left turn lanes from Golf Links Road onto the Harbour Expressway, but those lanes should be open by the end of the weekend.
Well, the start of November means there's a couple of things for Thunder Bay homeowners to be aware of. The city's curbside leaf and yard waste collection will begin tomorrow and run until November 14th. There's no bag limit, and the yard waste will be picked up on each resident's regular recycling day. Meanwhile, Thunder Bay Hydro will switch its time of use energy pricing starting tomorrow. On peak times, when electricity costs the most, will move from midday to the breakfast and supper time hours.
Well, here's a remarkable story. This past summer, an Alberta family on their way to southern Ontario lost their cat somewhere in Ignace. The family searched for hours, but finally realized that there was nothing more they could do. Now, 3 months later, a strange turn of events has left the owners overjoyed. Courtney Rutherford has that story.
This looks like your typical cat playing around. However, the story is anything but. Back in July, Fester ran away from his owners near Ignace. The family was traveling from their hometown of Edmonton when he suddenly went missing. Months had passed and Fester was suddenly found by the Ignace animal rescue group called the Northern Critters in Need along the highway. He was beaten up, skinny, and scared. Pam Flory is one of the members of the group. She says once they noticed Fester was microchipped, they knew what had to happen next.
We put it on Kijiji. We just kept searching for anybody who lost his cat. We now know the cat's 12 years old. It's neutered. It's been chipped, so obviously somebody's family pet. We searched the phone number with reverse directory and found a different person, contacted him through Facebook, and he knew who the owner was.
When Flory called the family to tell them the good news, the owner couldn't stop crying. Fester will spend a little bit of time getting healthier and will be flown to his family in Edmonton. The rescue group is non-profit and sells homemade dog bones to make money. It's situations like these that have Tanya Hazelar, a member of Critters in Need, feeling proud of their work.
It is the rescue at its finest, and what we do. We want a happy, healthy animal, and we didn't know what had happened to him. You know, he could have, jumped out of a trucker's vehicle. He could have been thrown away just because of his age. We didn't know what had happened, and they can't tell us. And that he was in such rough shape. It just makes us feel good that somebody on the other line of the phone is having a little cry that they're so happy that they're going to get their pet back.
As for Fester, he continues to get stronger each day. Anyone that is looking to donate can log on to Facebook and join the Northern Critters in Need Care page. Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.
Well, it's Halloween, of course, then perhaps you've already had a few young ghouls, goblins, or even princesses arrive at your door in search of candy and other goodies. If not, I'm sure they're on their way. Many of the costumes you'll see tonight were previewed at schools across the city today. These Nor'Westerview students showcased their creative apparel this afternoon at the school's annual Halloween parade. Some costumes are spooky and some are sweet. Dozens of parents and family members gathered to see them all. It's always great family fun, said Principal Erin Aylward.
We always want Nor'Westerview to be a place where parents feel welcome and invited, and this just gives them that opportunity to share in a little bit of school fun with the kids, a little lighthearted activity with the children, and to see them in that sort of atmosphere. So we very much enjoy that they come to visit us.
More than 300 students from JK through to grade 8 participated in today's Halloween festivities at Nor'Westerview. Similar activities were scheduled at elementary schools across the city.
No one ever dresses up like a weathercaster. I don't know why that is.
That needs to change, right? I think that's a good idea, from my perspective anyways. But hey, let's have a look at what happened weather-wise today. A little bit warmer out there, which is good news for those trick-or-treaters tonight. I just had a peek outside as well, and it is still warm. Rain's holding off for now, which is good news. It was cloudy, though, for most of the day today across Thunder Bay and most of the region. As you see, the couple of systems Fiona's been talking about for the last couple of days coming together and converging, causing that cloud cover, but no rain. Maybe bits and pieces here this morning, but nothing significant to speak of in our region right now, closer to Sault Ste. Marie. I'll tell you about that in just a second. Today's high, 8 degrees. It is still 8 degrees out there right now, which is fantastic. It's been 8 for most of the afternoon, much warmer than we've seen over the past few days. Overcast skies, wind, not much to speak of. Same can't be said for the next few days, though. That's going to pick up definitely. As we have a look across the region right now, cloudy skies, similar conditions for most of the region, 4 in Dryden and 4 in Red Lake as well, 5 in Kenora and Fort Francis. But as you have a look east, raining in Sault Ste. Marie. 10 is nice, but they're actually under a rainfall warning right now. 40 to 60 millimeters of rain expected for them. Kirkland Lake, Elliott Lake over the next overnight into tomorrow morning. So they're going to get hit hard by that other system that's crossing Lake Superior, the Great Lakes right now, unfortunately for them. North Shore shouldn't be too bad. Marathon and Greenstone see hazy conditions at this point right now. Tonight in Thunder Bay is going to go down to 1, so we're going to stay just above that freezing point, which is good news. Mostly cloudy. There is a chance, 30% chance of showers tonight, early evening into the midnight hour before the cloud cover starts to clear. So you could run into a few showers while you're trick-or-treating, but shouldn't be too much. So have fun. That's the most important thing about tonight, is to have some fun. Friday, tomorrow, going to be windy, going to be chilly. We could see some snow. We could see some rain. We might not see any precipitation at all tomorrow. The temperature is going to drop back down, but it's going to be hit or miss depending, again, where you are across the region. And happy Halloween. Have to say it. We just had a small piece there, and stay tuned because I do have a bit of a surprise for you later, but you'll have to stay tuned for that. That's coming up.
Believe me, he's not giving out candy. Well, it's been talked about in Toronto for months now, but finally it appears that video that reportedly shows Mayor Rob Ford smoking crack cocaine has surfaced. Details on that story and more for you as your news hour continues.
The file that we have recovered depicts images which are consistent with those that had previously been reported in the press.
Toronto police dropped a bombshell today. They have a missing video of Toronto Mayor Rob Ford purporting to show him smoking crack cocaine.
Word of that video first surfaced in media reports back in May, but efforts to find copies of it were unsuccessful up until now. Adrian Arsenault reports.
But don't you understand? Get off the property, partner.
Clearly fed up with pesky reporters, and clearly Toronto Mayor Rob Ford sensed this would be a bad day.
Can't go, get off my property. I'm leaving.
Within hours, a seismic statement from police. They have a video. It is consistent with one talked about for months, alleging to show Ford smoking crack cocaine at the house in this picture. It's the photo of Ford with drug and gang figures, one who's now dead.
The digital video file that we have recovered depicts images which are consistent with those that had previously been reported in the press.
Chief Bill Blair added the video does show Ford. And for a police chief trying to be careful, he then offered an opinion.
I think as a citizen of Toronto, I'm disappointed. I know this is a traumatic issue for the citizens of this city and for the reputation of the city, and that concerns me.
Please let the mayor speak uninterrupted.
Does the video concern the mayor? When news of it first broke in May, there was a robust denial.
I do not use crack cocaine, nor am I an addict of crack cocaine. As for a video, I cannot comment on a video that I have never seen or does not exist.
Late today, a far more subdued soul.
I wish I could come out and defend myself. Unfortunately, I can't because it's before the courts.
What he now knows is that there are actually two relevant video files police picked up in a June raid. Videos that had been deleted but have since been recovered by the cops. And today, a close associate of the mayor, Alexandro Lisi, sometimes called the mayor's occasional driver, was arrested on charges of extortion in connection with the video. Torontonians are starting to know Lisi, an alleged drug dealer, his name with Ford's, pepper more than 400 pages of court documents and surveillance images released today. Documents heavily redacted. Hundreds more pages may come soon. So, any charges against Rob Ford? No. The police say there's nothing in the video or the documents to support a charge, and that they have tried to talk with as many people as possible, but some have refused. Rob Ford, it seems, has not spoken with the police, but they won't say why that is. Adrian Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister is in Calgary today as the Conservatives get ready to open their convention there. The party wants to focus on trade and policy issues, and as Julie Van Dusen reports, there's one topic some Tories aren't interested in discussing.
Conservative delegates arrived at their convention in Calgary prepared to show a united front.
We do all kinds of policy, constitution, see our friends again.
Question: will the Senate drama be the elephant in the room at this convention?
I don't think it will. I think that this will be a rally for the troops.
His Conservative colleague disagrees.
It's not an Ottawa bubble story from the emails that I'm getting.
Continuing to follow Stephen Harper and the Tories, Senator Mike Duffy's revelation that the Conservative Party paid his legal bills. He even produced the $13,500 check to prove it.
When Stephen Harper is speaking to Conservative members this weekend, I challenge him to come clean and to talk about his role in this whole scandal.
Another headache for Harper, his treatment of former right-hand man Nigel Wright. The former chief of staff paid $90,000 to cover Duffy's faulty expenses. 2 days ago, Harper threw his once praised advisor to the wolves.
There is one person responsible for this deception, and that person is Mr. Wright.
Now a key Harper cabinet minister, Jason Kenney, has defended Wright. In an interview with a Calgary newspaper, Kenney said, "I know Nigel Wright to be a person of good faith, of competence, with high ethical standards." And he said Wright's decision to write the check was an uncharacteristic lapse of judgment. Two former prime ministers also had something to say.
I think he needs to tell the real story, and I think he needs to seek some advice as to what's the most effective way to do that.
Former Liberal Prime Minister Jean Chrétien regaled a crowd in PEI last night.
And I think he asked me at least 100 times, "Prime Minister, I'm ready. I'm ready." You know, I didn't name him, I left him to Harper.
and the Senate is still considering suspending Mike Duffy, Pamela Wallin, and Patrick Brazo. But senators won't likely vote on the motion until early next week. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Residents of Gainford, Alberta, who were forced from their homes for days following a recent train derailment, will receive some form of compensation. CN Rail says exactly what will be covered will be determined on a case-by-case basis. About 100 people were evacuated from the small community west of Edmonton for 4 days after tanker cars carrying propane left the tracks and burst into flames.
Well, you've probably come across a privately owned ATM when you're out and about. The automatic teller machines are often conveniently placed for people who need access to their cash. Now, an investigation has found some of these machines could be used by organized crime to launder money. Susan Bonner reports.
As quickly as you or I can get our cash from here, organized crime can launder theirs. Criminals can put dirty money in, and it comes out clean. The RCMP estimate organized crime, including Hells Angels bikers, control about 5% of the private ATM business. Put one of these in a bar, for example, and stock it with a mix of drug money and bar cash. Gary Clement is a former RCMP officer.
So it's a great way to get rid of some of your criminal proceeds and mixing it with the legitimate income from the bar. And there's the only way you can...
Money laundering.
And that's money laundering.
The RCMP estimate at least $315 million a year is laundered using privately owned ATMs. For years, government reports have singled out the machines as vulnerable to money laundering. In 2009, the self-regulating industry finally tightened the rules, claiming criminal background checks and other security measures would keep criminals away. CBC News decided to test the rules with a hidden camera. We hired this man to pose as someone with a criminal record who wanted to buy machines for illegal purposes. He spoke with 7 sellers.
It's not illegal to own a company and have a criminal record. I mean, it's nothing.
Repeatedly, he's assured the rules aren't enforced.
Is there anybody checking to see where the cash is coming from? Are they asking where the cash is coming from?
No, they're not asking. They're not asking at all. That's the good thing.
For us, we just want to wash our money. That's all.
No, absolutely.
We showed some of this to the organization which oversees ATMs.
And obviously that sort of behaviour is abhorrent to us.
Mark Sullivan says he's confident the new security checks would stop these plans cold. So you think this is just talk?
I would assume it's just talk, yes.
But not everyone agrees the industry can adequately police itself. Yet so far, Quebec is the only province to act, recently passing the toughest law in the country aimed at keeping criminals out of the ATM business. Susan Bonner, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, here's something for you to think about the next time you bend over to pet your puppy. It appears your dog is saying a whole lot more than you might have thought with a simple wag of its tail. A new study in the journal Current Biology says the direction of the wag is an indication of what the animal is feeling. Researchers found that when a dog sees something positive, like its owner, it wags its tail more to the right. It wags it to the left if it sees something worrisome, like an unfamiliar dominant dog.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
They did a study on that. Let's take a look at what happened on the markets today. In Toronto, the TSX dropped 94 points today to 13,361. Dow fell 73 points to 15,545. And the NASDAQ was down almost 11 points to 39.19. Our dollar was up over a half cent to 95.9 cents US. Gold down $25 to $1,323 an ounce. And oil slipped slightly to remain at the $96 a barrel mark. A major turnaround that gives fans of the Toronto Blue Jays some hope. Boston Red Sox, of course, finished dead last in the American League last year. Now they're on top of the world.
Yeah, them and the Minnesota Twins, the only teams to do that, so maybe the Blue Jays will be the third.
But don't count on it.
Yeah, and don't hold your breath, because you might not be around for spring training if you do. Well, the last time the Red Sox won a World Series at home, Babe Ruth actually played for them. It's been 95 years since the Fenway faithful had an opportunity to celebrate with their beloved Bo Sox, but they would get that opportunity last night against St. Louis in Game 6. Back after a one-game absence, Shane Victorino has an immediate impact. He'll take Michael Wacha to left for a double off the monster in the third. That empties the bases as Boston surges in front 3-0. And they would add another in the fourth as Stephen Drew picks the right side for his first home run of the playoffs. As he clears the ball in right center, it's a solo shot, and that would make it 4-zip for the Red Sox. Victorino with a 4 RBI night after he slaps this single to the left side. Big Poppy David Ortiz rumbles in as the Red Sox opened up a 6-0 lead with everyone standing in the top of the ninth. Koji Uehara will end the game with a strikeout. The Boston Red Sox win at 6-1 for their third World Series title in 10 years and their 8th in franchise history. We've got another busy weekend on the Lakehead varsity front. Both basketball teams open conference play in Kingston against Queens tomorrow night. The 2-0 volleyball squad invades Toronto Saturday night to face Ryerson, and your 10th-ranked Thunderwolves hockey team welcomes the top-ranked team in Canada, the Alberta Golden Bears, to the Gardens for a pair of non-conference games starting tomorrow night. Now here's Ryan Benazzo with this week's player profile.
This Thunderwolves player profile is brought to you by Frankie's Pizzeria. Pickup or delivery.
Up until last weekend, freshman Cody Alcock had just 2 assists on the season. Coaches and teammates were waiting for the former Kingston Frontenac to break out. Friday evening, he did in a big way. Alcock used his speed and quick shot to collect 4 goals against Laurier. It's the best scoring performance by a Lakehead player this season. The 21-year-old credits the advice he received from head coach Bill McDonald, who told him to stop trying to make so many moves with the puck. Just head to the net and wire it.
When you get into a little bit of a slump, you try to do too much because you think you're not doing enough. So I think when you head in straight lines instead of side to side, it certainly helps. And I've been told by many coaches, and when he said that, I thought, you know what, he's right. If I just stick to going in straight lines instead of side to side and keep it simple, things should work out, and that's what I did.
Obviously, he won't score 4 goals every night, but coming off back-to-back 20-goal seasons in the OHL, Friday's effort was more in line with what Alcock expected to do for the Thunderwolves, and he feels there's more offense to come as he continues to gel with line mates Andrew Wilkins and Trevor Gamache.
I think it started out a bit slow, and now we're starting to, start to get a hold of how the other player works, and they're both good players, and they'll both chip the puck out. They'll both, so it's nice being able to know exactly how they work and how I work. So I think it's starting to come a long way.
The Oshawa native is an avid hunter and fisherman. His love of the outdoors, coupled with Lakehead hockey's strong reputation, is what he says ultimately brought him to Thunder Bay.
I've always heard good things about Lakehead, so I decided to, it'd be best for my development as a player. So, and I'm certainly glad I came here. It's a great opportunity for me to develop as a hockey player and as a person.
Lakehead will need another stellar effort from Alcock this weekend when the Wolves host the top-ranked team in the country, the Alberta Golden Bears.
This Thunderwolves player profile was brought to you by Frankie's Pizzeria. Fresh is better.
Thunder Bay's Kelsey Tika has been named an OUA West Division First-Team All-Star in women's soccer. The Laurier defender has made the All-Star team 3 times. 3 games in the NHL tonight. Game of the night figures to be Boston and Anaheim. Also, the Rangers welcome Buffalo, and Phoenix entertains Nashville. Last night in Calgary, it's the Leafs opening the scoring to the first 8 minutes. And Joffrey Lupul with his 7th as he beats Flames goaltender Kerry Ramo from the doorstep. Then with 4 seconds to go in the period, Jay McClement sets up James Van Riemsdyk. He'll 5-hole his 7th, shorthanded to make it 2-zip. Calgary fires 20 shots at Jonathan Bernier in the second, and they're finally rewarded as ex-Leaf Matt Stajan snaps in his first. It was 2-1 after 40 minutes. 6 minutes into the third, David Clarkson forces a turnover. He'll get his first point as the Leafs, setting up Mason Raymond for his fifth. And that would be the game winner as the Leafs win their third in a row, 4-2. And in Vancouver, you'll see the Red Wings snap a 4-game skid thanks to this shot by Thomas Tatar, which handcuffs Roberto Luongo. The Wings edged the Canucks 2-1. Pittsburgh slipped by Boston 3-2. And LA needed overtime to get by San Jose 4-3. Colorado goalie Semyon Varlamov will be allowed out of jail and able to travel with the team while prosecutors decide whether to charge him in a domestic violence case. He's accused of assaulting his girlfriend, kicking her in the chest, and dragging her by the hair. And it's playoffs or bust for the Raptors, who last made it to the NBA postseason 5 years ago. But expectations are high this season. Rob Leth has more.
After a strong preseason that saw the Toronto Raptors go 6-1, the team is now ready to play for keeps.
Preseason is preseason. I think there's good opportunities for guys to come out and go through, but it all changes tonight.
Entering his 5th season as a Raptor, DeMar DeRozan has yet to appear in the playoffs, a stat he desperately wants to change.
For myself, for my team, for the staff, for the front office, for this country.
Even with the optimism in the locker room, the Raptors are coming off a season that saw them finish in last place in the Atlantic Division, and most experts have the Dinos once again finishing on the outside looking in.
We're just tired of the people talking, you know what I mean? And pretty much we just got to go out there and prove them wrong.
Fans torn on whether they want the team to compete hard every night or tank this season, thereby increasing their odds at landing Andrew Wiggins. The Toronto native expected to go first overall in next year's entry draft.
Getting Andrew Wiggins would be one of the biggest things for Canada basketball ever. One of the biggest moves that we could ever have. So why not try and go for that?
Because there's still no guarantee we'll get him. He could still go to Philly.
Head coach Dwayne Casey believes having the full support of the Raptor fan base can make a difference.
Those moments, Rudy Gay, yes!
They get on us when we need getting on, but for the most part, we have some rabid NBA basketball fans here in Toronto, and all I would say is be themselves.
One Raptor who won't be on the court this season is the Raptor himself. The longtime mascot out for the season after suffering a torn Achilles. His replacement starting tonight is Stripes, a similar-looking dinosaur.
Stripes is going to be his own Raptor. He's going to have a lot of fun with this. The fans are going to love him. He's going to try and carry on the Raptors' legacy, but we know that he could never be replaced. So Stripes is just going to have fun with it all season.
The Raptors opened season number 19 in the NBA last night at the Hangar against the new look and rebuilding Boston Celtics. The Raps global ambassador Drake not there, but it didn't seem to hurt the team's performance. Early on, Rudy Gay off the mark, but Jonas Valanciunas crashes the boards for the putback. He had 8 points and 11 rebounds. The pride of Kamloops, BC, Kelly Olynyk with some nice play in the post as he lays it up and in as the Celtics led it by 5 after a quarter. Toronto, though, regroups in the second. DeMar DeRozan leaves it for Amir Johnson. He'll slam in 2 of his 13. Then Kyle Lowry finds Johnson in the paint. More of the same as the Raptors go on to win their season and home opener over the Celts, 93-87. And the Vancouver Whitecaps are in the market for their 4th head coach in as many years after letting Martin Rennie go a year after making the MLS playoffs for the first time. They're hoping to find the right guy to provide some stability.
Martin has been in charge for 2 years. Prior to that, Tater Torgerson was in charge for 3 years, going back to the USL days. And prior to that, Bob Lilly was in charge for 3 years. So we don't have a history of chopping and changing. Yeah, and the other thing is, I'll suggest that I'll repeat from the outset, is that we are still learning. There's no doubt about it. I've made mistakes. Others at the management level and ownership level have made mistakes, and we're prepared to acknowledge that.
The Whitecaps' revolving door extends beyond the pitch. Remember Paul Barber, who the Caps hired away from Tottenham Hotspur? Barber was the Caps' CEO. His stay lasted just over a year before he stepped down and quietly left town. Add it all up and we're talking about 5 major changes to a franchise that's 3 years into its MLS tenure, which makes you wonder, how stable is the Caps front office and who's making the big decisions when it comes to soccer operations?
We have a football committee that consists of our 2 of our owners and Rachel Lewis, our COO, Greg Anderson, our director of professional teams, and myself. Any strategic decisions that are made go through that particular committee.
And that'll do it for sports.
All right, thanks very much, Randy. Well, a night of comedy on Global Thunder Bay tonight with your complete viewing lineup. Here's tonight's edition of Teletalk.
Tonight on Global Thunder Bay at 8 on Happily Divorced, Fran gives romantic advice to a friend. At 8:30 on The Millers, Nathan goes trick-or-treating to the home of the neighborhood witch. Then at 9 on Sean Saves the World, Sean fakes an injury to avoid a dance competition with his mom. At 9:30 on The Michael J. Fox Show, Mike and Annie go away for a romantic golf weekend. And at 10 on Elementary, Captain Gregson's wife is the victim of a home invasion. Over on CKPR Thunder Bay at 8, The Nature of Things enters the world of the parasite. Then at 9, Superstitious Minds asks why we embrace our superstitions despite scientific proof. Teletalk is brought to you by Points, the traffic ticket specialists.
Well, all weekend long, we were predicting to see it raining cats and dogs out there today. Mysteriously, the forecast has kind of changed. Scooby, do you think that the kids are going to be having a better time trick-or-treating?
Oh, I think so. No, I won't go there. I'm just bugging. But had to have some fun. Hopefully they are having fun because obviously we're trying to have some fun here at Thunder Bay Television tonight. It's Halloween. Had to dress up, and I figured it was pretty appropriate. That's for sure. Let's have a look at the weather. 8 degrees. Yes, Scooby-Doo is telling you the weather right now. There you go. So hang on. Overcast skies. Warmer today than we've seen the past few days as well. 8 degrees got up there and stayed up there for most of the afternoon. It's going to continue into the mid midnight hour for the next little bit as well. So that's good news. The wind is going to be the issue that picks up over the next little bit. Let's have a look at what's happening across the country right now. Vancouver, cloudy skies, similar conditions, but 11 and 12 degrees in Prince George and Vancouver. So some nice temperatures out there for them. They're seeing some above seasonal temperatures. That continues into Edmonton and Calgary. Calgary also at 11 right now, but some sunshine. So good news there. As we move into the prairies, rather, Saskatoon 7 degrees, Regina and 10, both under cloudy skies. Winnipeg at 7, Churchill -1. Unfortunately, again, Churchill a little bit chillier, but seeing some sunshine. As we move into southern Ontario, this is the system that I was telling you about earlier. There are rainfall warnings from Sault Ste. Marie and Kirkland Lake down in southern Ontario. It is 17, which is ridiculously nice for this time of year. But that system encompasses about all this whole area up into the St. Lawrence River, all through Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec. Rainfall warnings all through that area tonight, so it's going to continue to rain now and overnight into the morning. But 13 degrees, a little bit chillier in Quebec City, just at 5. But Toronto, nice temperatures right now. Into the Maritimes, Fredericton at 7, Halifax at 5. And then St. John's at 1. So they're sitting right about the freezing mark right now. A little bit chillier. Trick-or-treating out there. They're an hour and a half ahead of us, too, so it might be done. But Barry's enjoying this costume, in case you didn't know, or if you can't hear him right now, he loves this one, let me tell you. Having a look at the systems map, here is what's moving in tomorrow. There's a cold front that's going to push through, but it's the high-pressure system up here that's going to cause things to get a little bit more chilly as well as moving into Saturday. So enjoy this little bit of warm weather as it is here right now, because it's going to be chilly for Saturday and Sunday. Going to warm up a little bit early next week, but for now and for the weekend, it's going to be a little bit chilly. Having a look across the region, zeros across the board. There you go, pretty much. Dogs, it's a little bit chilly. Getting chilly for dogs too. So again, myself, it is getting a little bit chilly out there. So be careful of that tonight. 0 degrees again, right across the region. Into tomorrow, that rain's going to continue for Sault Ste. Marie. Should let up about 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. They will see some showers for the rest of the day, though the majority of the bad stuff is going to come overnight tonight along the North Shore. Could see some snow, some flurries in Greenstone at just 2 degrees tomorrow. Armstrong also at 2 degrees. And to the west, Fort Frances, they could see some snow as well into Atikokan and flurries up towards Red Lake and Sioux Lookout as well. So temperatures between the 3 and 6 degree mark, right about what we should be seeing for this time of year. Thunder Bay at this hour, 7 degrees. Trick-or-treating, if you're not out there, you better get going quickly. Don't want to miss out on that candy, okay? That's for sure. 7 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, dropping down to a low of 1, partly cloudy. Chance of showers tonight, as I mentioned earlier. We could see some showers, so be prepared. Maybe, make sure your mom or dad has an umbrella. Whoever's taking you trick-or-treating, grab an umbrella. Might need it, okay, but hopefully not, that's for sure. A chance of showers, that'll dissipate around midnight as the clouds clear. Wind, again, not too much to speak of. It's tomorrow that it's going to get windy. It's going to be a little bit more chilly and windy, 2 degrees and windy tomorrow morning, and then gusts. Look at that tomorrow afternoon when school's done, up to 38 kilometers an hour, around 40. So that's going to be bad, 6 degrees. And having a look at that 5-day, look out for the tail, man. Come on, watch out for that stuff. Oh yeah, goodness. It's Friday. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, some possible rain or snow tomorrow. It's Saturday, 30% chance of rain or snow mix as well. Nice temperatures though. Sun says high on Sunday, and then nicer temperatures into Monday and Tuesday. So that's all I got. It's happy Halloween. Enjoy trick-or-treating. Be safe tonight. And yeah, happy Halloween.
Well, it's time now for our weekly visit to the Thunder Bay and District Humane Society shelter. While Matt Scooby has already been taken, tonight Fiona Gardner introduces us to a shepherd cross named Pixie.
Hi, this week's Humane Society Pet of the Week is a delicate little thing, so it's no wonder her name is Pixie. And Pixie is a 1-year-old shepherd mix. This sweet girl was very shy when she came here to the Humane Society, but she has blossomed. She is very friendly, loves people, is good with other dogs, and she actually even gets along with the cats. This is a dog who is excellent on a leash and is just waiting for the perfect forever home. However, we also discovered she has an issue with her pancreas and she will be on medication for the rest of her life, so her adoption fee is waived.
Your Pet of the Week has been brought to you by Thunder Pet. Expert advice and high-quality pet food within your budget.
Okay, as we we sit here and try to figure out how we can get Scooby-Doo housebroken, we've got more Halloween fun coming up for you right after these words. All right, who says the dead can't have fun? Take a look. The skeleton seems to be enjoying himself as he skateboards across San Diego. The video is the product of LED lights and some very creative stop-motion animation. It took the artist about a year to put the whole thing together, but he got it ready, as we all know, just in time for Halloween. That skeleton's not that scary after all.
Not at all.
Not as scary. Anyway.
Well, to recap our top story of the day, an investigator from the Ontario Fire Marshal's office was at the James Street Swing Bridge today. No word yet on whether or not the fire is being considered suspicious.
And we'll have previews of the late edition of the Lakehead's hockey team and the men's basketball team as the basketball team starts conference play. I'll get it.
And a reminder, this is, of course, Halloween night, so a word of caution to motorists out there as the young ones are going about their rounds door to door. Please do keep an eye out for them and for stray dogs. That'll do it for tonight's look at news, weather, and sports. Thank you all for being with us. Once again, happy Halloween. Newshour.